spending any money on True Dungeon?
Well, it's not. Oh, you mean buying the tokens and stuff?
Yeah.
Do it first, and then see if you want to do that. Besides, I have a lot of them, but you could go through, I think, with generic stuff and be just have just as much fun with it. Russ. Okay, before we go any farther, people may be watching at this point, and so let's introduce ourselves. We'll go around and tell people who's here. I'm Tom Vasel, the czar of the Dice Tower, and
Jason Levine here with him down in Miami.
Question of the week from Board Game Breakfast.
Yes.
All right, Greg.
Greg Franceth, the traveling gamer and also co-host of the Pirate Cast.
Robert.
Hey, I'm Rob Searing. I am the peon of the Dice Tower. I'm Tom's webmaster. I handle Dice Tower news, do a lot of the graphic design, and a lot of the maintenance on the website.
Let's see who's next. We have Russ.
I'm Russ Wakelin, a co-host of the D6 Generation and pretending to be in a helicopter.
Okay, Ryan.
I'm Ryan Metzler, video reviews on the Dice Tower channel.
Eric Summer says the internet where he's at right now is the exact opposite of good. And we had Dan with us earlier, the board game geek, but the Game Boy geek, but he dropped out. I'm not sure. Maybe he'll be back. Anyhow, we were talking about GenCon. This is completely spontaneous in some instances, so we're just kind of talking and working ourselves up to a lather of excitement. I mean, unless I'm excited.
Yeah.
There's a lot of exciting things going on, so we'll start out with that. Like, we'll talk about that. Someone said, like, what game are you excited about? So, if there was one game you picked that you were excited about, for me, the one I was, by far the one I'm most excited about, XCOM, by far. It's XCOM, it's Fantasy Flight, and it's designed by Eric Lang. To me, that's just a trifecta of awesomeness. I'm very excited about playing that.
I'm looking forward to Panamax. I was a little disappointed. I was at the World Board Gaming Championships this past week, and Stronghold.
He lives at conventions.
I live at conventions. Stronghold did not have it ready. They said it was on the boat coming over from China, and that it was going to go through customs and make it there for GenCon. So we'll all get to see Panamax this week, which I'm excited about.
Not all. There's not that many copies.
Some of us will get to see it because we're going to be the first people online to get a copy.
All right. Anyone else?
Star Wars Armada.
You think they'll have that, or I think they're just showing it off, though, right?
They'll have a demo. I think they'll have a demo. That's my prediction.
I'm really interested with the Armada. Do you think it's going to cannibalize the audience for X-Wing?
Not if they're not pre-painted, though. I'm nervous about the pre-paint thing. It doesn't look like all the models are painted, so that'll have a big impact, I think.
Maybe it will sell better as a single box game. I'm just excited to be able to fly a
yeah, right. Squadrons of shit. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. We'll see what happens.
Greg?
Well, you stole my thunder. XCOM for me too. Sorry. Exactly what you said. Eric Lang, he was on the Pirate Cast, and we were talking about it, and I don't know. I'm excited. Very excited.
I'm going to say this, that Eric Lang is the best designer this year already.
Absolutely. I
mean, between Marvel Dice Masters and Chaos Ball and Arcadia Quest and the XCOM
and the dice game for the Pandemic, the dice game.
Is that him too?
Yeah, that was him too. Wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I thought he was involved in that.
Well, maybe. He has his fingers in a lot of pies, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Robert, what's yours?
So it's down to two, but one. So down with Tales, Mice and Mystics, only because I play tested that, and I'm really stoked about that. But Hyperborea, if I'm pronouncing that right, I mean, looks really neat. I'm kind of interested to see what that's about.
I'm going to jump in here because I saw a comment from someone who said that XCOM has the lame application that you need in order to run it. What a fail. Okay, first of all, almost everyone in existence owns one of these at this point in time, or some sort of smartphone. And if you don't, complaining that you can't use an app doesn't make any sense. Well, yeah, but you're like far out of the times. But that's like complaining that a new computer game came out and you don't have the computer to run it on. well, then don't play it, you know. I don't complain when a game's exclusively for the PS4, because I don't have a PS4. It's not that big of a deal. I think that using this, if Fantasy Flight does it right, and if any company can, I think they'll do it. I think it would be cool. I don't understand why we're shooting this down before we even try it.
No, I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, I remember back in the 80s, the Nightmare game where you used to put in your VCR and the VCR would go along while you're playing the game. And I like interactive experiences, so I think it's going to be really cool.
It was called Atmosphere.
Yeah, Atmosphere, that was it. And Nightmare. Wasn't there another one called Nightmare? It was two
I
of
don't
them.
know. I'm familiar with Atmosphere.
So, Tom, is this something where you just need one copy of it? One person needs the app, or?
Well, yeah, and the app's free anyway, so it's not like it's just that you have to use the app to run with the thing. And if more games had an app, I would be excited about that. If a game had some sort of app that did a lot of the tracking for you, let's say Sid Meier's Civilization.
Space Alert has the CD that goes with it.
That's right. Does anyone play Space Alert without the CD?
You can't.
No, you can. You can have the card and it tells you when to read it at what times.
It's not as good as without the CD, though.
Does anyone play
Well,
one?
I mean, even Escape, you has the timer. To me, you take the CD away. That's a lot of the tension is that music in there, and it's not doing anything but playing music for the timer.
And then the gong, 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 you're out of there.
Well,
Kind of taking that whole idea to the extreme is Golem Arcana that's coming out this year.
Russ, you know more about Golem than the rest of us. What do you think? Do you think this is a game changer, or is this that game that's before the game changer?
Well, I was just going to say, Golem Arcania looks really pretty cool. What I'm nervous about it, though, is this was already tried once. It was called Excellus, and it was a total failure. So it's really going to take the right kind of balance. I think the reason Excellus didn't do well is because so much of the fun mechanics of rolling dice and sort of the energy at the table was too much. It was hidden behind the mechanics of the app. So it's going to take a really tricky balance to be able to take a miniature game and still have some kind of mechanics done for you on a computer. We'll see how they do, but I'm looking forward to talking about it. That's one I really want to see how they did it.
Yeah, I'm interviewing with them Sunday, I believe, so I'm going to be talking to them.
Someone asked if we are planning. Oh, before we go any farther, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Jeff Gamble from what show do you do, sir?
The Longview.
All right.
On the Longview. They're on the Dice Tower Network. Thanks for the invite, guys. It's nice to see everybody. Very excited about my first trip to GenCon. Never been before, so I'm really excited to get to go and get to see everybody there.
Nice.
And also, Dan has joined us.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah. I guess I dropped out, but I'm back.
There you go.
Oh, did you put all those new games in the background?
That's why. Joe.
I got my games in the background, too. Don't feel bad about it. I figured that's a good backdrop. You know.
No, I'm not talking about games in the background. I'm talking about that.
Looking at the game.
Brand new games.
Oh, okay. All right.
Say
No,
something.
I saw
I
nothing personal in there.
Panamax sitting over there on the table. I'm getting ready to. I'm trying to learn that. I'm going to be working with Bonacor at GenCon. He's got Panamax coming out, so I'm trying to learn that one tonight.
Whoa! You have Panamax?
I have the prototype copy of it, and he is going to have some copies, as far as I know, over at GenCon. So it looks like a really nifty game. Very excited about it. Got the chance to try out Diamonds as well over at the WBC. The first copies flew in back in Tom's old stomping grounds there, and we had the chance to play that out. And that game is a blast. It's a lot of fun.
Have you played Diamonds?
No, I didn't play it this week, but
No, I like
I
it
saw
also.
it out there, and they were selling well. Steve had a very good convention. He sold a lot.
Here's a question. Someone says, are we going to be playing mostly new games, or do you plan to play old games also when at Gen Con?
Everything. If you guys want to play old games, pop it in. I'm gonna try to get him to bring his Cosmic Encounter set.
That's not happening. But
But there's an expansion going to be at Gen Con, though, for Cosmic, right?
Exactly.
Well,
That's the reason.
we don't know that. But I feel confident of it. But
Okay.
it's closed mouth. They still haven't technically announced that the Warhammer 40K Conquest game will be there, but I know it will be.
Yeah.
They don't announce things until like the day of the fair.
So last year, the Fantasy Flight, the big thing was the wave ships. What is it going to be this year?
Say what? What's your question?
Last year, the big line, everybody was lining up for the new Star Trek wave ships. What's their two get item going to be this year?
I would argue that last year people were lining up to get Firefly.
Firefly.
Yeah.
This year, I think.
Sons of Anarchy at the time.
Oh, at Fantasy Flight. Firefly wasn't Fantasy Flight.
Oh, you're saying at Fantasy Flight itself?
Yeah, at their booth. The big thing to get was
The big thing at their booth was they had the big Rebel transport.
Yeah, but they weren't selling those.
They weren't
that
selling
was
those.
just a display.
They didn't have anything that was like new and spectacular. They were showing off Battle Lore last year and Disc Wars and.
Well, they had the Wave 2 ships. That was the big thing. That was the first expansion.
Yeah, but it wasn't like there was people knocking each other. It wasn't like when Android Netrunner came out.
Right.
I'm going to answer the question and say that I'm going to be playing mostly new games at GenCon.
I think I'm going to go farther than say I'm going to almost exclusively play new games because that's what GenCon is.
Yeah, that's basically where I'm at. Is if I'm either going to be walking around taking footage and demoing new games, or sitting down and playing what I got at the con after hours. So.
The only old game I might play is Mr. Jack in New York. It's the only game I'm bringing. I took it out of the box because I'm supposed to try to challenge Bruno Cathala to an after-hours game because he beats me all the time online, and I want to be able to play him in person.
Fanboy!
You and Z and your Bruno fanboyism.
I'm excited that Bruno Faduti is going to be there. I've never met him before, and it's going to be cool to see him, and maybe we can harangue him and find out a little bit about Mission Red Planet. Which, by the way, wouldn't that be awesome if that was there?
That would be extremely awesome.
No, it'd be terrible. I finally just traded for the old version that was out of print.
Is the new version going to have any changes, guys, or is the new version? Is it just going to be a reprint? What have you heard about that?
From the tidbits that Bruno and Bruno have mentioned on the internet, it looks like they redesigned parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What's the status of Seafall?
Slow.
No demo at GenCon?
I feel pretty confident saying it's not even going to be 2014 at this point.
Really? Okay.
Oh, wow.
Is Wheaton supposed to be there this year?
Who cares?
Is what?
Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's not a rude comment. We care about every gamer who comes, and every gamer who can't come, we're saddened that they cannot come.
I'm rude. What can I say?
And he promotes the hobby a lot.
I thought it was funny how last year didn't an announcement go up over the intercom saying, "Hey, Wheaton's here, but he's here just to participate. Please leave him alone," or something like that.
Please leave him alone.
Well, no, I think
just something about Noah. Just hey, he's here to enjoy himself, just like you. He's asked not. I don't know. I didn't hear it. I just heard about it.
He was out at the beer garden, and frankly, I thought he was pretty generous. I mean, he didn't really raise a fuss about people stopping by. So.
No, and he's not going to. But at the same time, I'm saying it's not a bad idea to give someone like that some breathing room so they can actually do stuff. If you're stopping and someone's bothering you every 10 seconds, and maybe you just want to look at a game.
Yeah. Kind of like you, Tom. They need to put up hey, Tom Vasel's here. Please give him some space.
Right.
I'm his bodyguard.
That's why he came to Origins, in fact.
I didn't think this happened. I was protecting Tom.
No, okay. No, I don't mind, but I'm not even in the same universe there, so...
Oh, come on.
No pun intended.
Okay.
Hey,
have you guys heard anything about Consequential? This is the new one that's coming out, I believe, from Asmati. It's a Carl Chuduk design. You heard any status about that as to whether or not that's going to be demoed or anything at GenCon?
It's been coming for 2 years.
Right.
Impulse will be there for sure.
Yeah, I don't think Consequential's coming this time around. I know they're going to be there with Impulse, Equinox, Red, and Heat, but I don't think Consequential.
Ah, shoot. I was hoping that might be there. That sounds like really fascinating. When I first joined you guys, I heard about you talking about sort of the marriage of technology and games and soundtracks and games and mentioning Seafall and all these others. And that sounds like one that's kind of going down that path a little bit too. And I was really interested in it. I was hoping that maybe that they might have it there, but it doesn't sound like they're going to have it in time. So
not that I know of.
All right.
Pathfinder is going to be there, right?
Who?
Pathfinder, the next.
Pathfinder Part 2.
Yeah.
All right, some other questions. Are there rooms apart from the main exhibition hall? Yes, there's a pavilion of them, but he wants to. I think he's talking about like the different game companies, and if so, what companies?
Tasty Minstrel has their own room.
Rio Grande.
Aussie.
Well, but that's not to say they're not.
Special event night again. They do that every year, I think.
Who does?
Mayfair.
AEG, they give their swag bag if you go to their special Friday night party thing.
Yeah, well, they did that in the middle of the giant in the middle of the giant hall, though.
Oh, they did. That's
Because I went and swung by there.
But definitely Rio, Tasty Minstrel,
Wizards. Of course.
Wizards.
Well, and you probably want to.
Wizards had a whole floor, I think.
Wizards has a whole floor.
You probably want to clarify.
Mayfair has their own space.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. What do you think about these rooms? For me, I think they're interesting. I like to go look in them, but I usually don't go in them very much because I like to be able to play lots of different games, and being stuck in one company might, I don't know. I guess if Fantasy Flight had one, I might change my tune, but...
Well, so help me out with
Food
this.
is the main reason to go to the Rio Grande room.
All right. Greg, you go first.
Food is the main reason to go to the Rio Grande room. When you go at food time, they do a nice layout, and if there's Rio Grande games you want to play, then you can eat well and play those games. But I agree otherwise with you, Tom. It's actually kind of frustrating because most of them only have a couple of new titles, so unless I'm really dedicated to playing their games, I'm missing out on things.
All right. Greg, by the way, your video is freezing up a bit. Robert, what were you asking?
Well, so on these rooms, so last year was my first year, and I remember, I think it was the day before or even during the convention, they had a lot of rooms outside the main hotel and some of the hotels adjoining, and they were invite only. So and I remember I kind of like even just looked in one of the rooms, and these guys came up and just about tackled me and said, "Hey, you have a ticket, this is invite only, you can't be here," and really, really made me feel like not good. Are these what are all the rooms that happen like outside the hotel and that are going on till late hours of the night?
Well, they could be a million things, really. I mean, there's RPG sessions, and they don't want people coming and just browsing through. They want their own closed experience. I don't think there's any problem with that. I mean, that big gaming area is completely open, and that's so massive that gaming area is bigger than almost any other convention in America by itself.
Yeah, I mean, I talked
You
with
weren't even there.
No, but I was there years ago, not recently. But I know what it's like at the convention. Actually, I talked with the tabletop guys, and they're bringing out their table from the show, and they're going to be doing games throughout the convention, and everyone's going to get to play with the designers at their table. But of course, they only have one table, so they have to do it with selling tickets because they can't just have everyone coming up.
Robert, maybe you went into a lot of those side rooms are those ticketed events, and you were probably walking into a room where you were supposed to have bought the ticket for it, and maybe they were...
Yeah, this was just, there were a ton of rooms of people playing games, so I assume they were either new games or, I don't know, but...
Yeah. So, Tom, to answer your question, those side rooms, like Rio Grande and Tasty Minstrel, yeah, I mean, I'm going to go to them anyway because there are a few games at each of those that I want to play. I mean, it'd be more convenient.
I'm not saying don't go to them. I want to clarify that.
No, I'm going to go to them anyway. It's kind of weird because you do have to go out of your way. You almost forget they're there. So you have to remember conscientiously to go there and look at the games that you want to see, and you kind of have to go out of the hall. So it's one of those things that it ends up being either an afterthought or you hit it up before or after going in the hall for the day because you almost forget about it. But it's like it'd be better for us as gamers if they were where everybody else was, but it's not like it's once you get there, it's fine.
Well,
I just thought it was cool because they had, I mean, it wasn't only just the convention center itself and the outside rooms of the exhibit hall. I mean, it was neighboring hotels, and I mean, it's just people really don't understand the complexity and the vastness of this event. I think there's so much going on, you get lost in it.
All right, let's get to the next question. This is for everybody. We haven't talked much about Sentinel's Tactics. That's because it's actually not going to be there, but they'll be demoing it. What are people's thoughts or interests in Sentinel's Tactics? That's the board game version of Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Backed it.
Did you?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I'm a total Sentinels fanboy. I love the universe, and so when they showed up with a tactical miniature war game, I was like on it. So I bought that already. Well, it's actually a board game, right? But it's tactical.
As a backer, then, Russ, you would know when they said it's probably going to be out. What have they said?
To be honest, I haven't checked. I backed too many Kickstarters to try to remember them all. I think Yeah, I don't have a release. They don't have a release date on it yet right now, so it's still in the process. But I'm looking forward to getting it demoed. I haven't seen it played yet, but I have a lot of faith in Greater Than Games. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. The models they've been having lately. The miniatures have been great. In what's the release one? Galaxy Empire was the one where you work together to fight the guys in the galaxy.
Galactic Strike Force.
Thank you, Strike Force. I had that game. I like it. I can't remember the name apparently, but the miniatures are great in that one. So I'm really confident their miniature capabilities. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be good.
I'm not particularly interested. I like Sentinels, but tactical mini games, I'm pretty much out. So.
But see, that's interesting because this is why I'm going to go back now. I'm going to do a callback now. This is why I'm really nervous about the new XCOM game, because XCOM at its essence is a tactical squad combat game. And the new XCOM game doesn't appear to be that. So I like board games that try to do that, and we don't have many of them. Like you got Tannhauser, you got Level 7 Omega Protocol, and now you got Sentinels. So it's a rare thing. So it's kind of nice to see them.
But isn't Level 7 Omega Protocol pretty close to XCOM Tactical anyway?
That was my big thing, and I told our listeners that is XCOM the board game. So go buy it because it's great.
So I don't mind the fact that there's a worldwide one. Maybe this is XCOM Part 1. If they have the license, maybe they'll make another part to it. Fitting them both in one game is probably not. It would be too unwieldy, I think.
It'll be interesting to see because I know Privateer's coming out with their new Level 7 game, which looks a lot like a World Conquest game as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that compares to the XCOM version.
One of our
derail that thread. Sorry.
One of our viewers said Sentinels Tactics shipped today.
Oh, sweet!
Oh, wow.
I should go check my backer information.
It's going to show up at your house after you've left for GenCon.
I know it'll be the day. It'll become the day after I leave.
All right. One of our listeners says this is their first time to GenCon, but they can only make Saturday. Should they expect all the games they're interested in to be gone?
Yes.
Depends on what games and what publishers.
There's still lots of games available for selling on Saturday.
Yeah, and some of the really big ones, like for example, Sheriff of Nottingham. I mean, Arcane Wonders had said that they're only selling a certain amount each day, so that they will have some every day, especially for people like that. So maybe some people that flew in copies, like who knows? Maybe Panamax might be the same thing, where you might hold a few copies each day.
I know this is going to be true for Asmodee. I know they mentioned today that they were parceling stuff out over at least the first 3 days of the convention. So.
You know who I was impressed with was AEG last year. They had a stock of, trains. They had the new Thunderstone out throughout the whole convention. They had a pretty good selection there throughout. So yeah, I'd say it depends on the game and the publisher.
AEG's going to have some good stuff this year too. They're going to have the Trains expansion, and they're going to have all the Lost Legacy stuff. So they're bringing some good stuff this year too.
If it's a Z-Man title, it'll be gone.
Yes, the hot Z-Man titles will probably be gone.
Yeah.
They'll probably sell out of Kempo's Cascade and out of Pandemic.
Tragedy Looper.
Well, even Fantasy Flight had their now guaranteed they had a really good distribution system, with the cards, but they lasted for days with a lot of those X-Wing expansions last year.
Yeah, they usually have enough. Fantasy Flight rarely runs out. The Android Netrunner, they ran out, but that was because they did not expect it to be that high.
Vastly underestimated demand.
All right, well, here's a question for folks. This is mostly for people who've been there before. But where do you open game? Is there any free open gaming?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of it.
Plenty of it. GenCon's one of the few conventions that I never have a problem finding a table to play on.
As a matter of fact, everywhere. There's just gaming space everywhere.
There's the huge dedicated gaming area, there's the board game area, but then because you just pretty much go to any room, unless it gets starting to get really late, like around 11 or 12, some of the rooms get shut down, you might get kicked out, but for the most part, you can pretty much just find a table and play.
Where do you normally play for your open gaming?
Well, there's I'm trying to remember the exact room now, but there's a little, let's see, on the second floor, back on the very far right, there's a bunch of rooms back there, and we usually where Artemis is located. There's a couple of areas you play.
That's where they have the near Artemis was where they had that prototype thing where you like raffle tickets off to see who gets to play in the prototype sessions.
Yeah, there's usually a bunch of rooms back there that nobody seemed to care about. So and there's tables set up, so we just play there usually. But there's also, I mean, like I said, there's a big board game room. There's a huge one open area where there's like open gaming for miniature gaming and just regular empty tables. And then I think FFG usually has a section in the back there just for FFG games. So that whole area there is just great. And I usually hang out there because I'm a miniature gamer as well, so I usually take advantage of some of the War Machine tables as I'm playing that area.
On a slightly different note, I think I'm actively going to avoid the GenCon games library. I'm just tired of we're full up. There's no more room for people. Not a large enough space for the event, and I don't really need any of their games since I do plan on playing almost entirely new stuff. I think I'm going to kind of avoid that room this time around.
I would agree with you, Ryan.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you too. It's not worth it. The library's okay. It's not. There's no bathroom in the room, so you have to leave and check back in. You have to go in and out 2 different doors on opposite sides. So if you do that, you got to make this big circle around. And I don't know. It was just super crowded, and there wasn't it wasn't easy to find a game to jump into.
Right. And I don't want to gloss over a point you made, Tom, but frankly, for folks who go to Origins, the GenCon library isn't nearly as good. There's a lot of titles I would expect to be able to play they don't even have. And that's when I go to Origins, I go because I know I can get games that are out of print that are still really good games, and I struggle with that with the GenCon library.
Well, I know at the Dice Tower booth or the partial booth that we have, I'm going to have a game running constantly, so anyone who wants to play games...
The Dice Tower Network's going to be there. You can't run a game.
We're going to have a game. We're going to have a table with a game set up, and there will be a game running most of the time.
But what Jason's saying, even though he's lying, partially is you can play open gaming in the exhibition hall while it's open. Those guys will gladly demo their games for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, questions. Okay. So this question has nothing to do with GenCon, but someone said, what kind of gamer do you hate gaming with the most?
Names.
I don't have any specific type.
I do.
I would say like humorless gamers. Yeah, I was sitting down to play a game at the WBC and just with a group of people, and gaming is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something that you can share a laugh and really have a good time, and it's as much about the people as it is about the game. And playing with people who are just like really stone-faced and dead serious all the time and silent, that's just not fun, So to me, more than anything else, I can put up with some whining because I've been known to do it occasionally myself. I can put up with a lot of stuff, but people who are just stone-faced the whole time they're gaming, who don't seem to be enjoying themselves, I just don't want any part of that. Life's too short as it is, and I'm there to have fun. So that's really the kind of person that that's the gamer that I avoid more than anybody else.
I'm totally okay with the serious-faced gamer, but it's the person who can't make their own decision in a game that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there and every turn, every little bit of your turn has to be assisted by another player at the table because you're ever or whatever the case may be, get out of my game. I can't. Go away.
So Ryan, analysis paralysis is crazy.
Go ahead.
Not necessarily analysis paralysis. It's not that they're taking forever and trying to do it on their own. It's that they're taking forever and asking everyone for help. And then most often, those people go on to win. And you know why? Because everybody played the game for them.
Well, that's also like the person that, is always, like, they don't even seem to look at the board until it's their turn. And then they think, now let me see, what could I do? And then they, like, narrate their own move. And you're like, look, you should have been thinking about this the whole time. That can be a little annoying as well. I got to admit, I agree with you there.
Well, Ryan, I would say that the complete opposite drives me crazy. The ones that have to dictate to the table how to play, and they're the most boisterous. They're the ones controlling the cooperative game and what have you.
That's me.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's me too.
Maybe. Okay, back to GenCon. If we had to bet, what game do you think would be game of the con? That not what we think our favorite game would be, but the game that's going to be game of the con. I'm going to jump and say Dead of Winter.
Seems good.
Dead of Winter, which I got to play back at BGG-Con, which was amazing.
Well, good. You say that about a lot of games.
I do say that about a lot of games.
What about King of New York? What do you guys...
King of New York. There you go. That's the one.
King of New York, which
You can't talk.
Which we can't talk about.
No. We can talk about it. We just can't. We just can't give details. But I think King of New York will be a big hit.
I think it's going to sell out on the first day if they don't ration it.
No, yeah, well, they don't have that many copies, so yeah, I think so too. It's like King of Tokyo, but it's a little bit more complex, and it's more oriented towards fighting. I can say that.
FYI, they are rationing. There's going to be copies available Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for sure.
It's better than King of Tokyo. We can't tell you why, but it is better than King of Tokyo, and it's the future of that series.
Tom, would I still hate it?
Yeah, if you hate King of Tokyo, I think you'll hate it then, Ryan.
Okay.
But that's because you have no taste.
Well, fair enough.
I'd go on a whim and say Nottingham's probably going to be a big hit, Tom.
Nottingham's great.
And I'm outside of that circle, so I mean, just from what I've heard.
I hope.
I played that game. It's all right.
What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, King of New York was my pick. I think it has the widespread appeal that I think it can just bring in everybody from possibly beginner gamers that like King of Tokyo. Then, I think heavy gamers might give it a try if they like King of Tokyo. I don't know. I think it just has a wide mass appeal that will make it probably the best seller there, probably.
Here's a good question from George. He says he's thinking about bringing a 7-year-old to the GenCon. Would that be too much for him?
No.
I mean, there are going to be some things that aren't going to be of interest to a 7-year-old, but honestly, there's, simple things. You're just walking through the miniature space with a 7-year-old. They're going to love to look at all of that stuff. I think with a 7-year-old, you're going to stick to the main hall, like the miniatures hall. You're not going to go off and do special things. I wouldn't try and do something like True Dungeon. Plan your meals, though. That would be one thing. Kids in general, they're going to get cranky if they're hungry. You need to plan your meals, because if you get stuck waiting at a food truck for 45 minutes, you're going to be sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they have that whole family fun pavilion area that's going to be in the upper left of the exhibit hall map. That's probably 20 booths in a big area, so they could spend a lot of time in there as well. So if they didn't do that, there's
I will say that about 5 of those booths, I'm just guesstimating, are games you wouldn't want your kids to play, not because they're not family friendly, but because they're terrible games.
But not like the costumes alone. I think seeing Mario walking around and maybe not all the costumes.
Yeah, when they run into the chainmail girl.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is where I'm going to differ from Greg a little bit. I think I took Melody when she was 11, and I think Gen Con is great for a kid for one day. More than that, and it's overwhelming for adults to go there. And you also have to spend your energy watching that kid, because when you have 50,000 people, not all those people are good people. And so it's a much less safe environment maybe than a convention of 200 where you might let your kid just walk around and play games. There are spots at Gen Con where you can do that, depending on their age. But for a 7-year-old, you're going to have to be on top of them, and I think one day would be the max I would bring a 7-year-old to.
Yeah, I was going to say the same time. I think 7's on the edge. I'm bringing my daughters for the first time this year, and they're 11 and 12. And so I think they're at an age now where I'm a little worried about the overstimulation like you're suggesting there, but I think they'll be okay. I've taken them to PAX, but only for like a day. And so Gen Con's going to be the first time we take them to a multi-day event. And I'm really interested to see how they do, but they are hardcore gamers. I mean, they can play all day in games, so I think if I stay with them, but it's going to change. I know it's going to change my experience quite a bit. It's going to be they do, but they're pumped. They can't wait. They're very excited. But I think 7 is on the edge. I'm with you. I don't know that more than a day would be okay for a 7-year-old.
Well, I do think you can't do a whole day. Even with a 12-year-old, you're talking if you've got kids there. Who was it? I guess it was Mark Zielinski gone with his kids when they were younger, and it was very much we arrive late, we take a long break in the middle of the day, we leave earlier than I would without them.
Yeah, you have to do it that way.
Do they not have anything set up there that's more geared towards kids? I was just at the WBC, and they have like a whole kids area, and they run kids tournaments and.
Yeah, I run a kids tournament there, and it's great. It's great that there's a kids area just for that.
Wait, what? Where?
That's what Dan was just talking about.
Oh, we're talking about WBC now? How'd that happen?
We're talking about kids area.
I'm asking if they have the same kind of thing at Gen Con, because I've never been. I don't know if they have anything set up for kids.
They have a kids area that's in the exhibition hall. I remember that. I don't remember them having a place you can drop kids off at, like Origins.
No, they
does.
do.
They do?
They have a babysitting service. They have a babysitting service that you can use. There's a fee, I think, with it and whatnot. But, honestly, I can't imagine. I don't know who those people are. I don't know who these other kids are. I personally would never use it.
They're a bunch of bronies.
Okay. But Eric used the one at Origins, and he was really raving about it. His son had a good time there.
Yeah, any room in any convention that's designed for kids is going to have people who know how to work with kids. I know, and Tom's going to say, don't talk about it right now, but at WBC, the person who actually runs the whole room is a teacher. So.
Well, I know who runs it at WBC. I know that person, and yes, I know they're an excellent person to run stuff like that.
Yeah, so they're not going to let you drop off your kids with people who don't know how to handle kids, or I would hope not. And I think that would be the same at any convention. I think GenCon would be the same in the kids room. You're going to get good people with your kids if you do drop them off.
Well, we have another question for someone else. Would you bring kids that are less than 3 years old? Let's say babies or toddlers or strollers and backpacks. Would you do that?
No.
Can't get the stroller through anywhere.
I've seen it done, but I wouldn't do it myself.
You shouldn't, but there will be plenty of them hitting your ankles in the middle of the aisle.
No, I wouldn't. I took my wife to Essen, and we took my daughter Ruby, who was like 4 months old at the time, and we didn't want to leave her at home. We parceled off the other kids to babysitters when the Vasels can't all go to one place because there's too many. But we took her with us, and it was okay. We switched off all the time carrying around, but it would be a lot easier without it. If you have any other option, I would take it.
I don't have kids right now, but
Well, that's good.
my friend who does literally had, I guess, the equivalent of baby Bjorn's, and him and his wife both came to WBC last week, and they had the baby. They would carry the baby and their little baby Bjorns walking around from game to
But
game.
that's a very different experience at a smaller time than it is at GenCon.
Vastly different.
2,000 versus 45,000. I know it's a big difference, but I don't know.
No.
If I had a baby and my wife was into it, and I would take the baby along.
I don't want anything that's going to add more heat to my body.
You know, sir. There's a lot. Okay. Anyway, by the way, folks, if you're asking questions, we're taking them at Twitter at the Dice Tower. So that's where I'm looking for it. Joel asks, over under on the Battle Lore 2nd Edition expansion. From what knowledge I may or may not know, I don't think that will be there due to various reasons. And he also wants to know, have we seen the last FFG big announcement? They've announced 2 big things, XCOM and Star Wars. Will they announce something else?
I think they will.
Yeah, they always say something about Flight Report. I think there'll be something there.
Okay, well, I play this game all the time. What are they going to announce for the Flight Report? What big thing?
Well, you won't know until they announce it. That's the beauty of it.
It'll be like an Eldritch Horror expansion. They'll be like, we have a new Eldritch Horror
No,
expansion.
no. They're not.
Hard thing, another LCG, you know.
You don't think they'd do a Star Destroyer for X-Wing, do you?
No, you won't do that.
Maybe Victory? A Victory's class?
Well, they're pretty committed to scale, which I respect them for in X-Wing. So I would really hate to see them do it, actually, because it would. There's just no way to do it and even be remotely in scale.
But if they did, would you buy it?
Yeah, I would buy the wall that you paste on this gaming store wall that would look like the side of the Star Destroyer you're flying by. That would be
This wouldn't be a huge announcement, but on the Letters from Whitechapel Facebook page a few months back, they showed the final copy of their expansion, which I've been waiting for a few years for us now. That might be a minor thing that might be here, but probably yes. All
right, this is a question for everybody except Greg because his answer is the Rio Grande room. But what are your favorite food places?
Well, the Mac Genie food truck by far.
Food trucks in general.
The food trucks are awesome, but I also recommend. I would say if you're a miniature war gamer, you need to go to the RAM just to experience the theming.
Yeah, the RAM is nice.
But if
Even if you're not a miniatures gamer, the RAM is great.
If you want better food than the RAM, I would go to Scotty's. I think Scotty's peanut butter burger. I know, stick with me here. The peanut butter burger at Scotty's is phenomenal. It's a hamburger with peanut butter on it. I can't explain it, but it's just really, really good.
No, it is good stuff.
I went at the RAM. It's not as good. So just go right to Scotty's. Less crowded. The 501st is there, so you can see all the stormtroopers and slave Leias you want, and then you can have a nice lunch and get a free die.
Hey, Tom, what's the place to avoid that Eric had come up with last year?
I can't remember the name of it, but I know when I see it, I'm not going in it.
The Hard Rock Cafe was all right. It was a little bit of a walk.
Greg, what'd you say?
The bikers are the same weekend this year?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I went to that biker bar. It's not so bad.
As he throws up his tat.
Hey, I will say, if you need to make up with a spouse and take them out for a really nice dinner and you have money you're not spending on games, that St. Elmo's Steakhouse was really good.
St. Elmo's Steakhouse is the best steakhouse I've ever been to in my life. Period.
Wow, that's something.
It's very impressive, but it's not cheap.
No.
All right, Jake says, what big game, in quotes, do you think has a chance to be the biggest disappointment?
Sheriff of... No, never mind.
Surprise and biggest disappointment.
Well, I'll start out because I feel that it's going to be Mega Man. I think people are hyped about. I like the Mega Man theme, but I think that game's going to bomb.
Is that really a big game, Tom?
Yeah, I don't.
I think it will sell out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe Sons of Anarchy? I don't know.
That's possible.
I was going to say, it's usually something with a media tie-in. I mean, other than Spartacus and Firefly, you know, those things with a tie-in have a bad history.
Well, Firefly had very divided reactions.
Yeah.
Spartacus had mostly positive. Russ's co-host,
I like Spartacus too. No, I think
not as much as your co-host.
no, that's true. I think Gale Force 9 is doing a good job. I'm worried about Sons of Anarchy. I'm sure the mechanics will be fine, but I just don't know the people that really are into that show. So I think the tie-in's not going to help them out much. I think better off just saying random motorcycle game coming out. They'd be better off than the Sons of Anarchy.
Random motorcycle game.
Has anybody, I've mentioned this earlier, the Hyperborea game. Has anybody heard about that? I mean, it looked great.
Dan, don't do it. No, it does look good. I opened it up today and looked at all. There's a ton of pieces in it. But who knows? Asmodee usually gets their games right, but they have some duds.
I'm interested in Hyperborea because it looks like it has a nice Euro tie-in to the fantasy theme.
That just had Euro. It had deck building. It looked like kind of like a Mage Knight almost.
No, man. It's pool building with cubes.
What?
A big
Russ, are
game.
you doing True Dungeon this year?
Actually, I'm not scheduled to do True Dungeon this year, although I would like to. I like True Dungeon a lot, but I don't know. It's a big chunk of time, and because I'm bringing my kids this year, I don't think I want to. I don't think they'll be into it. I don't think they're old enough yet to really dig it. So.
Well, Robert and Ryan and Dan and me and Jason and a few others are doing this. What advice would you give us?
Well, someone asked it earlier. I would not go crazy and buy a lot of tokens until you've actually played a couple times, because you don't need them. And also find Cody Jones and have him give you all the stuff you need from the Jones Family Armory, because he has like every token ever. And then I would just say sit back, relax, and have fun, and don't try too hard, because it's mostly fun. You won't really die unless you really do something silly. Oh, and don't do nightmare mode, no matter how much they try to get you to do it.
Tom, I was pretty sure I wasn't doing it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ryan's not doing it. I apologize. But he was going to do it.
I was going to do it.
By the way, to everyone watching, congratulations. Ryan has a job and something he's been looking for that he's actually using his doctorate for.
Woohoo!
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and from now on, you should be putting Dr. Metzler on his videos, Tom.
I'll let him decide if he wants to be pretentious or not.
I can be pretentious. I'm down.
But
Yeah.
Ryan said he'll be traveling all around now, so maybe he'll come to your area and you can play a game with him.
Yeah, come to my hotel when I'm staying there.
There
Oh,
you
you
go.
guys made it! Steve Avery, welcome to the show.
I snuck in.
It took you 44 minutes to connect.
Good job, Steve.
Nice job.
So he's ahead of his usual schedule.
Okay, so can we start over?
Hey,
So,
Tom.
hey guys, I got a question. I couldn't find, and Dan, you might know this. I looked online, I couldn't find anything. Last year they had some, for lack of a better word, celebrities. I mean, they had Walter Koenig. I guess me being a Doctor Who fan, Peter Davison was there. That was pretty big. Has anybody heard of anybody listed that's going to be there?
Tony Darling, if you're into the whole cosplay thing.
No.
Yeah.
I heard Tom Vasel's going to be there.
We're talking people care about.
Thank you. I'm not
Okay.
seeing it.
I got him.
The guests of honor for last year, man, they were really good.
Yeah.
Well, they
I
got
saw a bunch of like artists and writers. I didn't see any actors or.
Well, they got Jim Butcher, who's the author of the Dresden Files.
Mhm.
And Tim Kim will be there.
Who?
And Tim Kim.
Yeah, I know that because we're eating dinner with him on Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to derail the.
Well, you just shut everything down. So
Now
So
we're all
Tom,
looking at our media announcements, trying to figure out what's going to be there.
It was in one of those pull downs.
I have it here. Wait. Oh, here it is. Let's see. We got some artists from Marvel and Dark Horse Comics.
okay.
I like those kinds of things. And let's see what else.
I hope they have the Dalek.
Butcher, of
The
course.
Dalek that was roaming the hallways was killer.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
There you go.
It scared the crap out of some little kids.
Yeah, Bruno Fiducci and James Ernest. There's a lot of people that they bring in from RPGs. I still think that when they pick people for guests of honor, I think GenCon leans way too heavily on the RPG zone.
That's where they're from, though, right? I mean, it's their
Oh, Jordan Wiseman will be there. That's a big name.
Yeah, but man, last year Walter Koenig was there. Like
Peter
I said,
Davison.
Peter Davidson.
Yeah.
Doctor Who.
Does that change anyone's mind about going or not, though? I mean, those guys are, I think, aren't they better at like a Comic-Con or something?
I don't see GenCon. It's more of a Dragon Con thing, right? I don't see GenCon as that sort of venue. I mean, it'd be nice if it was, I guess, but I remember one
It
year.
wouldn't change my mind, but it was an added bonus, I think.
Well, the cast of the Guild, Felicia Dinner was there one year, and the line went like around the convention center. They didn't really know how to handle it. I just don't think Gen Con's got that figured out yet. It's not really their shtick yet,
Russ, that was the Fantasy Flight booth.
No, yes, that too. Yeah, they got all confused. It was very awkward.
So
Imagine
Tom-
her inside the Fantasy Flight booth. That line would be horrendous.
Tom, to answer your last question, a game that might disappoint that's a big release, and not because I think it's going to be a bad game, but Five Tribes, you've got Days of Wonder, who, really cater towards the family gamer, the Spiel des Jahres, categories, right? And you're going to have a lot of those family gamers going to go to the booth, they're going to watch a demo of this, and their head might explode because it's more than they're used to seeing. And then you have the heavier gamers that might, it might be lower on their radar because they have all these other very deep games they're going to want to go see. And I'm wondering if it's going to get left in no man's land. I mean, you've got Days of Wonder, Bruno Cathala. It's got, it's going to be a good game, but will it be kind of just left on an island?
No.
I don't know. I think it will actually sell out. I don't know that it will. What the secondary reaction once people start playing it.
The Herd Abyss is going to tank.
Yeah, right.
Have you guys already discussed what everybody thinks the biggest, hottest game's going to be?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us yours.
I think it's going to be Dead of Winter.
Yeah, we already said that.
Way to be late to the party.
Just for the record, it's going to be Dead of Winter.
You go to the transcript and come back.
I thought it was going to be Rubber Banditos.
Oh my God.
Hey, as long as we're going back and covering stuff that we already talked about with kids, when they do that giant balloon, whatever they're doing this year, and then they pop that, if you've got kids, they gotta go to that. Kids love that.
You guys,
I love that. Popping balloons is awesome.
I got my Kickstarter, and it came with this Colby figure.
Kodiak Kobe.
Yeah, and I'll pop it out for you guys right here. It's the...
All right. Well, what are you trying to do? Make everybody watch and feel bad?
Does the Colby figure come with
Well, it's not once. It's not often I can one up you, Tom.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
In fact, I don't think it's ever, maybe once in my life.
I'm going to make my own figure, the Cannibal Avery figure.
Okay, well, is there anything that anyone's doing, like an event that you're excited about? Maybe not necessarily a playtest session, or maybe you're playing with a designer, or you're going to do role-playing, or something interesting. We mentioned True Dungeon already. Anything else?
Yes, I got one.
What?
There's a game that's being run by Brian Mayer, the guy who designed Freedom Underground Railroad. He bought, it's a German game. I think it's done by Freedom and Fries. Forgive me, I don't remember the name, and I can't speak German, so I won't even try. It's basically that game where there's like 3 different economies, 3 different boards, 3 different tables, and throughout the game you're going to these 3 different tables, and every game is kind of like its own different economy. Wow. It's an older game. It's supposed to be really fun, and he tracked down this older copy of this, and there's an event for GenCon, and I'm signed up for that, and I'm really excited about that.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw it being played up at... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I'm going to find the name of it right now.
All right. While he's doing that, anybody else?
GenCon. I'm excited about GenCon.
All right. Well, this is petering out fast.
I mean, I'm excited about, getting to meet some people. I'm excited about seeing all the new games and really kind of getting to experience GenCon. It's just going to be so huge. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about the Dice Tower live show. I think that'll be fun. There's a little bit of fun pandering for you there. There we go. But I am excited about being on that and getting to participate in that. And I'm just kind of excited about getting to kind of wander around and see everything that's new. I'm going to be looking for that diamond in the rough, though, Tom. I don't know if this is the convention for that. But, I've read all the lists. I've seen all the stuff about, all the big companies and what they're doing. But I'm looking forward to having a little bit of time kind of, wandering around and see if I can find that little game that maybe no one's heard of yet or that is flying under the radar. And I'm going to really try and, kind of scout it out. I'm going to try to resist the urge to just go and just open my wallet and, do the shut up and take my money thing. And try to really just look around and see if I can find something that is going to be really exceptional, maybe a sleeper hit. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Well, I got to say, my anchor, I have 2 anchors every year because I go up on Wednesday for the trade days, and I teach at that and get to see people I never see anywhere else. And it's really interesting to get to talk about games in practical environments, talking to librarians and educators, homeschoolers, what have you. And there's people I only ever see there, so I'm looking forward to that, and they're always some of the most interesting people. And, Tom's always sick of it. The Saturday Night Dance is not gaming, but this year's 80s themed, so I'm very excited this year.
Oh, no.
I'm glad you do that. I'm not mocking it.
No, I love it. And you can mock it. I still go.
No, I'm not mocking it.
I know you're not mocking it. Anyone out there can mock
the robot and everything when you're there dancing?
Pardon?
A little break dancing? Are you going to do it?
No, actually, I usually get there early before the young people show up, so that there's usually the over 35 crowd, and we can do. We're usually doing swing dancing type stuff, but with its 80s stuff, we'll be able to break out actual old 80s dancing.
Yep. You need to get your parachute pants and pull those out of the closet. The old parachute pants.
My skinny tie.
Jacket.
Flex.
I think he's going to be wearing the zipper pants. You remember those?
All right. Well, we don't want to drag this out. We're going to cut this down for folks watching. But most of us, all of us below, will be here at GenCon except one.
Boo.
Steve will be there in spirit.
I'll be there in spirit.
Really, Avery, you're not going?
Personal expansion isn't coming out at GenCon, so he doesn't need to promote it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was hoping I'd get to play Rubber Band.
Okay, but let's talk about there's going to be a Dice Tower Network booth there, and people will be there at different times throughout the day. Russ, do you remember when you're going to be there?
Yeah, we're there Saturday from 5 to 6. We'll be playing all kinds of quick games, and Craig and I will be there. We'll be very excited to say hi to everyone, so that'll be really fun. We're looking forward to that a lot.
I'll be there the first hour of each day from 9 to 11 on Thursday, and then 10 to whenever each
day. 2 hours?
Huh?
Isn't that 2 hours?
Yes.
Okay, that's something special for the first day.
But technically, there's 2 first hours on Thursday. There's the first hour for the VIG gamers.
Yes.
And then the first hour for everybody else.
And then for the normal people.
Yeah, I wonder how many games are going to sell out before the VIG hour is over.
Just got to get someone named Tom Vasel to buy them for you. That's
Everything popular at Z-Man again.
Is that what happened last year?
So I only put a 10% cut if you want me to buy them for you.
Hey, they got the Cure there this year, right? The dice game?
No.
It's not showing up.
Oh, it's not going to be there? Oh, that's a bummer. I was looking forward to that.
They'll be demoing it, but they're going to have the infection one, whatever that one's called.
Contagion.
Contagion.
Was that an expansion, or is that a stand?
No, it's a standalone card game where you play the virus.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a simple version of Smash Up.
Ooh.
How, you guys were talking about possible drops or failures. Settlers, is that supposed to be a big hit?
Imperial Settlers?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, and that will be big, and that will do well. So we didn't mention Legendary Encounters, the Alien version. That will sell well.
Oh yeah, Upper Deck's bringing that, aren't they?
So who wants to go out on a limb? D&D next. Success or fail?
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine, and people will complain.
Well,
You know what? I'm hearing more good things about it than I heard.
I am
Good
too.
things about the D&D 4th edition.
Yep.
It's the good things from 4, from what I've heard, and adds back some of the 3rd edition stuff. So
Don't you need an app?
I don't think so.
No, you don't
I
need-
hope it's good because I think there should always be competition in the industry, and Pathfinder's just been dominating. It would be good for Pathfinder to have competition from Dungeons & Dragons. It makes them both better.
Agreed.
But what do you guys think about Pathfinder, by the way? I mean, maybe you discussed that before I came online, but do you think that this second set is going to be as successful as the first set's been? Or
The card game?
The adventure card game?
Pathfinder adventure card game, yeah.
Yes.
I think they'll have time. They've had a whole year now to refine it. I think last year was when they brought out the base game was exactly at GenCon.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had quite what was their forums page, like 100 pages long when they released it. So I think they've had a good year to nail out the flaws and really put something good out. Not that the first set wasn't, and I love the base set and the expansions, but I think they'll have time to refine it.
I hope they bring up the complexity level a little bit. It's just way too simplistic.
I think they will, because I think that was the overwhelming comment, was that it was almost too sedate, and I think that's what they need to hit this year. That's the missing piece, and I think they will.
This one's pirates, right? Is the theme pirates on this one?
Yeah. I think the theme is supposed to be, a whole new set, it's pirates, and I've heard some people grumbling a little bit because they say, you got to start from scratch again. You're not going to be able to take your character from the first set and then continue that character on. You're going to be starting from ground zero again. But I think that'll kind of be fun. I think that'll be kind of exciting. I mean, I've gone through the first one, with the exception of the last adventure pack now, with a couple of buddies of mine, and I've gone through it again with my son. And, we've really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to seeing maybe, as you all are saying, a little ratchet up in complexity. But I'm also, looking forward to seeing what different kind of rules they can put in for a different environment. I think that'll be fun.
Well, we'll find out. As you can see, all my bags are packed. I'm ready to go.
Did they just pop up, or have they been there the whole time?
They've been there the whole time. I've been packed all day. But anyway, when we're there, and I think I can speak for everybody, is that if you see us, come say hey. Come say hi. Talk to us. We love to talk to. I mean, I go to GenCon for the games, but the people more so than the games. So it's great to talk to folks and get to know people who watch the show.
Exactly.
With that being said, does anyone have anything they want to tout before we go to promote? Robert, you have something. Talk real quick.
What, the insert?
Yeah, you'll have some of those at the convention.
Yeah, so real quick. So Flat Hat Games, I'll have some inserts on display there. Hopefully at the Dice Tower booth, I'll have some on display, and I've got a catalog book that should be there. And I've got my phone number out there. Call me if you have any questions. Yeah. Thank you, Tom, by the way.
And Russ, you're doing an event there, right?
We are, yeah. So if you want to catch Craig and I and my wife Nicole and Rafe will all be at Friday from It's up against the flight report, so you got to balance that out. But we're going from noon till 1:30, the D6G Play by Mob event. It is technically sold out, but there's always room. People no show. Just come on and pack in the back. It'll be a fun time. And then, of course, if you missed that for some reason, you can see us at the Dice Tower booth 5 to 6 on Saturday.
And everybody else will be probably at the Dice Tower live show, which is at 8 o'clock on Friday night.
Yeah.
And so lots of fun there. Very excited about this. We're going to shut down here, folks. We'll see you guys soon enough. Thanks for the questions. Thank you guys for all coming on at the last minute.
Thanks for the invitation, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Bye, everybody.
Well, you don't need to cut out yet.
Cheers.